In the fast-paced rhythm of soukous, a voice has found its way to success. In a world where Congolese music has long been dominated by big names like Franco Luambo Makiadi and his Tout Puissant Que Jazz, or Tabu Ley Rochereau and his Afrisa International, guitar solos, and deep captivating voices like those of Madilu System and Sam Mangwana, one woman stood out from the crowd. She danced, sung, and conquered the stages all over the world. This is the story of one of the most beautiful backstage singers who become an icon of Congolese music and a true ambassador of soukous. Here is a look back at the career of one of the most emblematic artists of African music, a dancing career not without challenges. Her name is Yondo Sister. Hi guys, I hope you're all good. I'm back today with a new story of artist, and I was really looking forward to share with you the name and the story of this unique legend of Congolese music, of soukous music. She is an absolute icon. Her name is Yondo Sister. But before we start, if you could take 2 seconds to like, subscribe and comment, that'd be absolutely brilliant. And as always, for those of you who watch my videos without subscribing, because there's many of you, if you could take 2 seconds to click on the subscribe button, and most importantly, to the little notification bell so that you know whenever I'm posting a new video. I hope you're ready for us to dive into the story of that beautiful Congolese musician, Congolese artist, Congolese singer, Yondo Sister. Off we go. Yondo Sister was born in 1958 in Kinshasa in the Republic Democratic of Congo, and she was born in a family where music was absolutely omnipresent. It was there all the time, everywhere, and you can understand very quickly the reason why her name is Yondo Sister, because in her family, but more specifically, her and her sister, whose name is Nyota, are both going to be very passionate about music, about Congolese music specifically, but most importantly, about dancing. And together, from a very young age, they're going to be dancing together. And because at this time, and still nowadays, Congolese music was so fashionable throughout Africa, they're going to decide to create their own dancing band. So the two of them together are going to create that dancing crew, that dancing band. And it is on this moment onwards that together with her sister, they're going to be called the Yondo Sisters. So Yondo and her sister Nyata are both going to create this unique group, and they're going to be absolutely passionate about dancing. And obviously they would dance for their relatives, dance in the legal local area, but they wanted to do more of this. So one of the things that they're going to do is to perform during the Zaika Smolende show. And there's a very specific man who's going to, out of the blue, be there on a specific day when they're going to be performing. And this man is going to notice the talent of these 2 young ladies, because they were only 13 years old. They were very, very young. And just like many artists that I've already talked about on the channel, so like Chalamwana, Mbili Abel, Abeti Masikiniba, which mainly say Chalamwana and Mbili Abel, these artists started the career very young. 2 of them actually started when they were 17. And when they started the career, they didn't start as singers, they started as dancers. So these 2 sisters, the Yondo Sisters, with this beautiful band that they've created, these lovely, beautiful young ladies, will actually be performing with the Zaikas Molinde. And when they're going to be doing this man is going to notice their talent. This man is someone I've already talked about many times on the channel, because he's one of the major musician, singer, producer of the Congolese music scene of the 70s, 80s and 90s. He is the first Congolese artist who ever going to perform at the Olympia venue in Paris. He is, for those who watch the channel very often, you would have guessed, Tabu Ley Rochereau. Tabu Ley Rochereau is going to be there one of the day when they're going to be performing, and he's going to see how talented these young ladies are. And obviously, seeing those talented ladies, he's gonna think, oh, I need to do something out of this beautiful talent. So for those who know quite well Tabu Ley Rochereau, you would know that he had his very famous band, Afrisa International, and he also had his group of dancers, women dancers, called the Rochereau, and he's gonna add the Yondo Sister into that group of dancers. From a very young age, these two talented girls are gonna join the band of Tabu Ley Rochereau, Afrisa International, and the crew of the dancers, les Rocherettes, and it's gonna open so many doors for them. Together, the two sisters are going to be recording a couple of songs while being part of the band Afrisa International of Tabu Ley Rochereau, and while doing so, it's going to open many doors to them. And obviously being part of the Afrisa International band will not only open doors for them as dancers, but also progressively as dancers. And remember, it is something really important because the perception that the public had at this time of women was very much of having them on stage as dancers, but not so much as singers. But you would obviously have these artists that were very avant-gardist artists like Abeti Masikini, Bongo Love, Chalamwana, who are going to open these doors for these young ladies going forward so that they can actually not only be dancers, but be real artists, real singers, and perform with as much legitimacy as any other men in the African and Congolese industry at the time. But obviously, Yondo Sister is not only going to be one of the sisters of the band. At some point, she's going to decide to leave this duo that she created with her sister, and I couldn't find the exact date, so if anyone knows, please feel free to put it on the comment section so that we can all learn from it. But she's actually going to leave this band with her sister and start to build up her own career progressively. So one of the first things that she's going to do is being part of the different bands that were very, very successful in the Congolese music scene. And one of these bands, I've talked about it a couple of months ago when I've told you the story of Pepe Kalle. This band is called Empire Bakuba, Empire Bakuba. And when I've talked to you about this, I've made very clear that Pepe Kalle and this band were overwhelmingly successful in the Congolese music scene when it came to soukous. They were real masters of soukous. She's gonna be part of this band, not as a lead singer, obviously, because it was Pepe Kalle, but she's gonna be part of it. And while learning with them, is really gonna support her own construction as an artist and her own artistic identity as well. And remember that Abeti Masikini, at this time, this artist was considered as the queen of soukous, and she's also going to take influence from Abeti Masikini and these ladies in Africa that at the time made soukous successful, not just as dancers, but as singers.
Vraiment, à l'époque, il y avait vraiment de la musique. Le soukous, c'était partout. Et moi, une fois, je me suis retrouvée avec Pepe Kalle, c'était à Burkina Faso. Au même moment, il est venu pour jouer. Et nous, on était là-bas avec les Soukous Stars. Je pense, si je n'oublie pas.
Oui, c'est vrai.
Ouais, c'était ça, hein, avec les Soukous Stars.
Oh. C'était en quelle année, ça?
Ça fait très, très longtemps.
Et la danse, c'est important dans le soukous?
Et bien sûr, et surtout pour une chanteuse ou un chanteur, il faut bouger sur scène. Hein. Moi, je ne trouve pas une autre solution. Et moi, quand je suis là, moi, je ne plaisante pas. Il faut que je bouge.
So it is in the context of Soukous absolutely booming all over the country, all over the continent, and all over the world that Yondo Sister is gonna learn, obviously, I've just mentioned with Pierre Bakuba and Pepe, but with other musicians, with Papi Tex, with Juna Janana, and all of these influences are gonna progressively help her to learn more about discipline in live music, knowing how to have the good presence on stage, and all of these things in addition to dancing and singing. And all of these things are going to build up her own musical identity progressively. In 1986, she's going to leave the Empire Bakuba band, Empire Bakuba, and she's going to be working with someone else who is a real legend of Soukous. And I think I'll do a video specifically about him because I love him. He is called Kanda Bongo Man. When she's going to be joining his band, she's going to be taking part in the recording of several songs, including Money and Say. And these experiences are really, really going to support her own career, her own development of her own talent, basically. And she's going to travel around the world with him to Paris, to London, to Europe, to the West Indies, to Africa, obviously. And there's actually one specific concert that she's going to be doing with him. And she's going to be performing during the live show, doing the song Lisa. And why doing this solo moment? It's going to be such a good one that people are actually going to do a standing ovation because of how good she was. And seeing this talent gradually growing, being with the really, really famous names of the Congolese music at this time, is going to drive her ambition for more, for her own career, for her own project, and she's going to have the support of one man to achieve this. Lokassa Ya Mbongo is obviously one of the most emblematic Congolese guitar player, and he will become a really good mentor for her, a discreet, subtle, but extremely influential mentor for her. He's going to encourage her to give full power to her voice, write her own text, and take a real feminine, female lead in the Congolese industry at this time. And I'm emphasizing this because if I take the example of Mbiliabel, who was very much a inspiration at this time because she was a beautiful lead singer, but she was overwhelmingly protected by Tabu Ley Rochereau, and he was the one who was leading all her artistic choices. Lokassa Ya Mbongo is going to do something different because he's going to give her lots of pieces of advice, but not at any point will he try to take that power over her career, guiding her, but giving her the necessary tools so that she can build her own career on her own and by herself. Absolutely convinced by the talent of Yondo Sister, Lokassa Ya Mbongo is going to have a conversation with someone very important and very influential. He was an influential man himself, and he's going to go and talk with someone with even more influence. He's going to have a conversation with Ibrahim Silla, who is one of the founder of the label record, Silla Record. And he's going to tell him, she is extremely talented. You need to give her a chance. The reason why I'm specifying the fact that he's going to talk to him, but not just saying, I want her to be part of my band. Can she be taking the lead on one of the section of one specific song? He's going to tell him, you need to give her a chance as her own artistic self because she's really good. She's got something special. And they're going to accept. Ibrahim Silla is going to accept, and he's going to give her chance, and she's going to be one of the rare female artists at this time, having her own musical project produced by a major label record at this time. And it's going to be thanks to Lokassa Ya Mbongo, thanks to the fact that the label Silla is going to give her chance, but obviously thanks to her own very talent.
Bazo, Moi, je ne connaissais pas Monsieur Silla. Mais il y avait Lokassa Ya Mbongo qui connaissait Monsieur Silla. Alors, il a proposé à Monsieur Silla de me produire. Monsieur Silla a dit à Lokassa, je vais le faire. Mais si je ne vends pas les disques, je viens déposer tout chez toi à la maison. Mais par contre, c'était mon premier producteur ici en France, en fait. Il y avait un Ivoirien et puis il y avait une grande chanteuse de notre pays, que je ne peux pas citer le nom peut-être. Elle voulait aussi me produire. Mais c'est tombé à la main de Silla. Et Silla m'a produit. Et juste 6 mois, Silla a vendu jusqu'à... Il ne savait pas où mettre les pieds. Et puis il a appelé Lokassa Ya Mbongo. Il lui a dit, cette femme-là n'a pas fait de fétiche. Mais vraiment...
Ça a été un grand succès, cet album-là.
Je n'oublierai jamais Silla. Et puis, je voulais le montrer que j'avais du talent. Et j'ai fait maximum de promotions pour cet album-là.
C'était ton premier album solo?
C'était mon premier album solo.
And the first major solo project that she's going to be recording with Silla is called Bazo. And this first project, and specifically the song Bazo, will be a huge success, not only in Africa, but in Europe and all over the world. And Silla Record are going to realize how talented she is. And this first project will be the first stone of a various musical project that are all going to be very successful. And she's going to be doing this with lots of modernity, because not only will she bring something new with Soukous, with a very modern Rumba music as well, singing in Lingala, but I'm going to put, and you've seen throughout the video, she brought something very modern in terms of fashion, in terms of style, and it is something that's really going to create a real breakthrough from the past and from some more traditional artists from Abeti Masikini or Pongolov, who themselves were very modern for their time, but she's going to bring something even more contemporary at her own time at the end of the 80s and the early 90s. She's going to become a real fashion icon, bringing something so contemporary and so new to the Congolese music scene, and become a real Soukous legend. She will bring, and still is until nowadays, bringing her own musical identity, being a free, elegant, passionate, beautiful artist, embodying the best of Congolese music, of Soukous, and being a real inspiration when it comes to creating her own path in the musical industry at a time where music was dominated by male in the industry. She is and remains one of the queens of Soukous, and is someone to remember and to always mention the name of. Her name is Yondo Sister.